So I've been moving my plants around again. This one was an indoor plant, but I'm either transitioning it to outdoors or just to a bigger pot. I put it in a bigger pot. It's going to stay out for the day, but I might end up taking it inside after tonight, or by sundown. It's growing a little bit pale indoors, so I thought maybe stick it outdoors. It might do it some good. I'm not sure if it's a sun or a shade plant, but it's getting lots of sun right now. All these are doing well. No biggie with all these greens. I just don't really know what many of them are. But this one I put in a bigger pot. It was in this tiny little pot here. I said that tiny little pot's too small, so I put it in a bigger pot today. And all the others, heaps of them need bigger pots. That one over there probably needs a bigger pot. It's not doing so well, but that's already been put in a bigger plant, doing a lot better. This was in a small plant, but I put it in a huge plant, about a big one, and it's doing really well. And that one's doing really well. There were just some weeds that were in a smaller plant pot like this size, and I put them in the bigger one, and they're like branching out. So they're already living the luxury life when there were just leftover weeds from that were growing inside another plant pot, and I didn't have the heart to just chuck them out. So, and this one needs a bigger pot, but I'm not doing any more pots today. I did a few already, but this one's growing quite well, so I might put it in a bigger pot, more like that size over there. Yeah, but I don't know. Or maybe the garden. We're just seeing what all these plants are. I have no idea what this is, but this one looks interesting. That one looks interesting. This is some sort of tree. I'm not sure how big they grow, but they might end up being chopped up because they're a tree. Because there's like 10 of them or something, and I'm like, ooh, too many trees. So they're not being moved anywhere anytime soon, because we're trying to figure out how big a tree they are. If they're like a bush, I'm sure we can find it, edge the garden with it or something, but if they're a huge tree, just keep it in a plant pot until whoever does whatever with them. But we want this one to grow big, so I put that in a huge one too. We were going to put it in the garden, but it's like, we're just seeing how well it does in the pot, and if we want it in the garden, we can move it into the garden. I also transplanted my second batch of forget-me-nots, which look like they've picked up a bit, so they've got the whole ground to spread out in and feel free to reproduce. I didn't want to separate them because the last separation I did was devastating for the plants. They all died, and I was like, oh my gosh, But planting a plant in a bunch is just like planting a plant in a bigger plant pot. So my theory is plant it in the ground and the whole bunch of them will spread out to a more desirable level anyways. So whether they like it or not, they're going to grow together, which is cool because they probably have a high chance of survival. And I planted these ones. I think it's these zinnias or something. I'm not really sure, but no, I think the other ones were zinnias. I think this is a different plant. I'm not sure, but who I live with thinks they're freesias. And I'm like, no, I don't think they're freesias, but I can't remember what on earth they are, but they've sparked up, so they've got a whole ground to grow into. So I replanted those, and yesterday I replanted these over here, so they look a little bit tired actually, but they've been given lots of water. Yeah, they look a little bit degenerate, but I don't know, I'll just see how they go. This morning they look better, but they might be getting a bit of sun. But eventually all the plants around them are going to grow, so they've got a good chance of survival. It's possible they weren't quite planted in the soil tight enough, so I'll keep an eye on them. And if they look kind of devastating, then I'll play around with the soil. Maybe I didn't put the soil close enough or pack it in tight enough. But Hopefully they'll pick up, because I don't want them to die. That's why I planted them all together, to give them a highest rate of survival.